It's 9th of January 25 and I'm looking at the first survey to have reform having the most seats in Britain, which is amazing considering, they've only got 5 at the moment from 6 months ago, and, you know, 2 years ago they probably wouldn't have any. And so, yeah, and I'm hoping that this is basically the British natives voting on a single issue, uh, which I think is going to cause anarchy rather than things like winter fuel allowance and things like that, symbolic things. You know, they don't want. That was a sort of a freebie that the Labour government, Tony Blair's Labour government, introduced, and Keir's just abolished it. But you can get it through pension credit and stuff. But a lot of pensioners don't claim credit. I'm sure a lot of communities are advised about it. All pension, all benefits options, but the general public, the natives, they don't have a clue. Uh, yeah, so this is fantastic news. I hope it's about that one single issue that I think is going to cause anarchy, Mad Max style, a new experiment. Well, Keir says the last 5 years have been an experiment, and it's very kind of him to say that, so that we can start talking that way about this. Keir said that the riots in August were far right bust in, although all the people jailed through his emergency laws seem to be getting long prison sentences, seem to be locals all working usually. They look very native, and even women. A Tory councillor's wife, for a tweet, she got 2 years or something, I think. Yeah, told to plead guilty. The case was all over. Like, from arrest to being jailed was like 3 days or something. And Keir said that anyone who created a riot who should be scared or would feel the full harshness of his Stasi emergency law. And he said in that same speech, I think, that it was a far right bust in, to Rotherham. And he also said that the EDL caused it, and I did see someone who got jailed for saying that he was going to take on the EDL, and he had a fake Kalashnikov rifle. He just got jailed recently. Where did he get that idea about the EDL? Because they disbanded about 10 years ago, 12 years ago or something. And that's even if you think they're far right, I don't know. But, anyway, this is very uplifting because what the typical politicians expect is if you're not happy with Tories, you vote Labour. If you're not happy with Labour, you vote Tories. That's what the native Brits have done. And meanwhile, we can keep increasing newcomers, because we're going to become a third world majority. Boris put it on steroids. But people aren't doing that this time. The native Brits aren't doing that this time. They're voting reform, who Labour and Tory politicians have labelled as the far right, even though if you look at their immigration thing, it's far too soft, and it's a long distance from freezing, apart from Robert Lowe, it's maybe talking that way, but it's a long distance from that. And I think in 5 or 10 years' time, native females who vote Green, SNP, Labour will think Nigel's far too soft on the subject, once they see the way the country's going to go. It's okay to say it's going to be a utopia, that won't affect your life in any way, but if you get any anxiety about becoming a third world majority and the natives becoming a minority, you're not allowed to say that at the moment, and these MPs will call you the R word, So if there are voting reform, this is a sort of you protesting. So this is very, very good to see. I think Labour are finished, and the Tories are probably finished as well. That'll probably end up 50% or something. Basically, it'll become the native Brit party, really. I think, even though they're not good enough on this issue, it's an Overton window shift. Yeah, so this is very, very good news, and the Stats for Lefty's done an excellent. This, you should follow us for to see surveys, because they'd make a map out of it as well. And you can see your reform even though they've not got any of Scotland, they're up at 15% in Scotland at the moment. I think a year and a half ago, you couldn't even pick them in YouGov surveys, or maybe it was in page 2 after a while, but now they're in the election, I think they got about 8% in Scotland in the election reform, and now they've got 15%. And as I said the other day, for the 2022 census, white Scottish were 77%, so that's actually native Scottish. So you hear people saying it's 96%. I think that was the 2011 census, and that included other white, so East European and Scottish. I think at that time the white Scottish were about 89%, but over those last 11 years, from 2011 to 12, that's went down 11% white native Scottish basically. And we've just had 2 bumper years of Boris waves from the third world. So, I mean, native Scottish, I don't know, it might be 70% now or something. Anyway, so at the moment, there was 8% voted reform in the election in Scotland. At the moment, it's about 15% in the polls. So, SNP, Labour, Tories are all rattled in Scotland because of it. Personally, I think the reform will become the biggest party everywhere, especially with native Brits, just as a sort of symbol, as an Overton window shift on this one issue. It's because of this one issue, people are moving about, they don't know where to go. I mean, as I said previously, I think George Galloway's against mass migration apparently, so, but you can't vote for his party because it symbolically is making you look as if you're in favour of the native, the natives becoming a minority sooner, even though, I don't know. I'm not checking. And the SDP are another who are good on this policy. Not good enough, but better than reform, I think. But really, we need a freeze, I would say, in my opinion. And others are now talking about reversal and that. I think native female voters of the Green, SNP, Labour probably will be wanting that 5 or 10 years' time, but it's good looking at England. You can see the North East, because that's changed totally. Newcastle, all these places, especially the last 5 years under Boris. And as Keir said, it was a big experiment. Thank you, Keir, for letting us use that word. All down that east side of England, in the Midlands, even Wales. Wales is better than Scotland for this. Finally, they're putting out Labour there. I mean, Labour have only got hardly any seats there in that Welsh map, but can I open this up? I mean, I know that the likes of Cardiff, South Wales and that, they'll be tiny in a map. Yeah, there's still got a few there. That's the Lib Dem, that's the orange one. Are they? Don't know who that is actually. Yeah, Lib Dem. They're nuisances. The Tories, Outer London and that. East Midlands. Yeah. So things are going really well at the moment, and thank you to Elon, even though I think he's a troll. He's right on this, and his maternal grandmother was from Britain. Well, he's South African and Afrikaner, so it's probably quite a strong, well, possibly British, possibly Dutch, heritage. And here we're looking at it projected by block. So the left are still in charge, but not enough. The right's get 291. Nationalist and Green left will be left. What's nationalist? Yeah, that's SNP and Plaid Cymru. You couldn't get any more open border friendly. They want their countries fast track for the natives to become minorities, basically. It says Greens on the left. I wonder if that means Islamic things, because we've got 4 at the moment. We're probably going to be 8 or 9 at the next election. They're just voting identity, basically. Probably Jess Phillips' seat. People think that's going to go to the Workers' Party, but I don't think so, because that guy's mixed race, so that won't be enough for it. That was made to happen in Blackburn, where Craig Murray was made to get a seat for the Workers' Party. It never turned out that way. A young gun said he would stand in it because he looked right, looked the part, and he would stand down if the elders didn't want him to stand against Craig Money. Yeah, so apparently it's saying the ones that carried out this survey find out now. I've never heard of these polling companies. They said that a quarter of Tory 24 voters are voting for reform. That's what's making this big move. But I don't know, I think Labour voters are going to be the most traditional Labour voters from working class towns. So the Northern Wall, that sort of thing. So this is fantastic news. This is the polling company. Their graph isn't as good. It starts for lefties. I mean, really, I can just see reform getting all the native Brits, basically. If this is all that's on offer. I mean, the SNP, Labour, Plaid Cymru, Greens, I think they're all finished. Well, maybe not the Greens, because some will go to them. I think, who ostriches in the sand, females, native females. I don't know where basically the BAME are going to go, because I think through the whole West are starting to, natives or the colonialists of America, Canada, New Zealand, and thingy, who created countries that seem to be very desirable. We're all going to be going the same way in this concept. We're going to be thinking, this doesn't look very good. It's up to you if you think it's. Current politicians are still telling us it's going to be a utopia. So they're saying the margin of error is 2 or 3%, but I mean, reform's just up and up and up. I think everyone's really, well, not everyone, but the polling thingies have got this wrong. I've seen that old guy who's regarded as a polling thingy. He says, he used to say it doesn't look like reform's going to do this. I mean, reform are just going to smash Labour, Tories and SNP, Plaid Cymru, I think. I did see a poll where Plaid Cymru were top in Wales at the moment, which is hard to believe, really, because they want natives to be a minority as soon as possible, faster than Labour, probably. So they're saying the results show that Conservative slight decline, Labour steady overall, Reform a slight rise. And the main shift they're saying since November has been the growth of Reform, and the main driver is Tory switchers, up to a quarter of 24 general election Tory voters now saying they'd vote for Reform UK, compared to only 14% in November. But I don't know, I think it's mostly Labour, SNP and Plaid Cymru people who will go, but the whole lot will go, really. Yeah. So we've got an odd situation. It's not about left and right anymore, it's about what do you think of this experiment, as Keir Starmer called Boris's policy on this issue. I mean, some would argue it's been an experiment since 1946, never tried before in humanity, So, yeah, you should definitely follow this Stats for Lefties. It just gives it such good details. And they've just, apparently they gave, they had a sort of agreement with Novara Media, but they've split from them, and they're saying we're all in good terms, but I would guess Novara's probably holding their back with their. I mean, I used to watch Novara for a while because it was the only. I watched the things in the life like Owen Jones, that guy, what's his name, who used to call himself Not the Andrew Marr Show. I watch these things because they'll be telling the truth on things like Palestine, I would guess, or what I would agree with. So I always watch it for these, but Novara just became really boring after a while. After I get used to it. It was just a bit of a joke, really. Yeah. I mean, Owen Jones is a bit better, even though I don't agree with all his policies, and or any maybe, but apart from maybe Palestine, but and that other guy, as I said, they're all worth watching, these. So yeah, that's all looking good and all that, you know. So there's been some really good polls here for the Senate in Wales. They're saying Reform's really up there. Labour are really down. Tories. How about Plaid Cymru are top? That was a surprise for me. And there's general election polling. That's 8 hours ago. They've got Reform at 25%. Oh, that's the one I was looking at. Here's another one. This looks the same. Let's get Labour 27% for the Senate in Wales. Reform 24%. I think Reform will be 35%, 40%. Once, I'm not sure when the election is it this year or next year? I can't remember. Yeah. So Wales is definitely turned. You know, once you lose those Labour areas, that's you. I mean, there's most Cardiff. I think most people wouldn't recognise it now if they took a walk about Cardiff. They would think they were. They wouldn't know where they were actually. Okay, that's enough of that for now. Goodbye.